Hello, good evening. It's my favorite time of the week. What time is that? It's newbie night. Yeah, I'm Dorjan,
And I'm HighFly15.
and this is newbie night where we're talking about the skills, perks, and equipment for tonight. Yeah, sounds good, right? So tonight we've also got a special thing for you. 5 codes. That's this many. There's still this many, and we'll give them away. They give you gold and tanks and that jazz. I'll find the details for you later. I've forgotten them now. But who likes the hat? Right? This actually was given to me at Early Steel. Right? We went there. Me and Bees were sat next to each other watching this boring conference about the future of World of Tanks. You know, loads of details about what they're going to do in the next 2 years that we can't talk about. Secret stuff in the secret meeting. I don't. Was I meant to say anything? I don't. Whatever. This hat was on the chair. I couldn't sit down until I picked up the hat and put it on. It was the rules. It was at gunpoint. I swear. Anyway, how are you, High Flyer?
I'm good. I've been good. Have a good day, relaxing day. Done nothing really, so that's always
Sweet.
good.
It's always great.
Sweet.
I went and seen some houses this weekend. Yeah, I did. I saw some houses, so the move might be happening. You never know. I saw some really nice ones, some okay ones, and a lot of rain. It rained. Have you seen the news about England and rain?
Nope. I've seen Denmark, and it rains.
Well, it's been flooding. It's been flooding. But enough talk about that stuff. Let's get on with the show. So first of all, skills, equipments, and perks and stuff like that. I guess we should talk about what they do before we talk about where they're appropriate. So
Yeah.
where do you want to start, High Flyer?
Well, let's just start up with the basics. That perks. You gain perks whenever, or skills and perks whenever you get to 100. Crew skill. I will just demonstrate or show this on my Sherman because I have 100% crew appear on the Sherman, on the commander and the sergeant and the corporal and the corporal, and then a small plus appears on the side of the crew, and you can click that, and then you will be brought into a menu where tons of skills, or tons and tons. A lot of skills are shown, and you can read up about them, and you can try them out. But some of them are pretty useless, and some of the old basic ones should really be chosen over something like adrenaline rush, because then you're counting on you getting less than 10% hit points, and then you reload a little bit faster. So it's a little bit better if you choose repairs for that one.
Yeah,
So,
we'll go about that in more detail when we go into each individual tank. It's hard to list them all because there's quite a few of them. So, yeah, what's the first type tank that we're going to go through?
Well, let's just start with the small ones, because everyone starts out with the small ones, and some even stay in the small ones. Someone keeps them forever and actually play most with them. I've seen plenty of people have thousands of games in their Leichtraktor or MS1 or Cunningham. And,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, let's just start up with those, because they don't really get into a class like heavy or light, or, well, they are light, but medium or tank destroyer so quickly. Even if you choose a tank destroyer, you're still very small, and you don't have to worry about things like if people ding on you, or if you reload a shell that is wrong and you want to switch over to another one. You don't have to worry about having a skill applied that makes you able to do that 1 out of 20 times in a game. So the more basic ones are chosen for those. I've actually chosen Mentor on my... I'll just open up the different ones. Each crew member have different skills. So let's just take a look at the commander first, because he has the most important skills, because he is the most important one in a tank, of course. Someone has to yell at someone, so that is the commander. Everybody has the basic ones, the repairs, camouflage, firefighting, and brothers in arms. And if you go further down, you will find the more important ones under commander. If some tanks have less crew members, then more crew skills will be under the commander, because he is the one that can do all that jazz. And
Right. How come the commander can do all that jazz?
well, because he is the commander, and if someone is even if he even has a skill that says jack of all trades, he can do a little bit of both. If someone dies or is badly injured, he can take over, and he should be able to do that in a real life situation as well as in game. So I think that's why he gets all of them instead of spreading them out across the field.
So your commander is the most important guy in the sense that he can cover any other guy going out. So remember that, guys. If you've got a medipack and your commander's taken out as well as someone else, it might be worth, if you've got jack of all trades, to bring the commander back rather than the actual person himself, because you still get the commander's bonuses, do you not?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, the commander is like if you lose the commander, you will lose an overall amount of performance in the tank because he is dishing out orders, drive there, go there, fire there, and stuff like that. So it makes sense that when the commander is knocked out, you lose a little bit of everything. It's just like if you put a vent on and you try the tank without the vent, and it performs a little bit worse. It's not insane amounts, but you can feel it in the reload time and in the driving a little bit, but it's not as
The turning
much.
speed, I think, is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
Whenever I lose my commander or I don't have my vents installed, it's that sluggish turning. You're like, oh, I can normally make this turn, I just can't do it right now, and it's very frustrating. These little things. I think we should go through before we go any further as the general skill percentage, the difference between getting a 50%, a 75%, and 100% crew right at the start, and your choice in doing so.
Yep. Well, everything. When you start up the game, you are handed all 4 tanks at 50%, and that is very bad. It's like when a new player starts playing and he gets to try out the very first tank in the game at half capacity, then it's really tough to judge the game because you're only doing half. It's your driving is very horrible. Your reload time is horrible. Your aiming time is horrible, and everything is just horrible until you played enough games. I don't really have the exact number, but it's the same amount of XP to get from 50 to 100 on a tier 1 as a tier 10. So I don't know why they've done this, but it's one of the things that I would like to see change actually to let people get into the game easier. Because it is tough to start out with an absolutely horrible tank.
Yeah, I never understood why they've done that. They give you your first 5 tanks, the level 1 of all of them, or should I say the tier 1s of all of them, and then they give you 50% crew. So when you first start playing World of Tanks, you have not only a totally unupgraded rubbish tank, one that doesn't respond as well as it could do because your crew are completely untrained. So it's very frustrating for brand new players to even play the game. It's very weird, the decision making there. Instead of giving you like a 80% crew or even 75% crew, it's flat out 50%. So your crew can't hit anything, it can't move, it's incredibly sluggish, and it takes 20 minutes just to get across the map to see the opponents, let alone actually get into a fight where it lasts more than 2 seconds. So
yep, and even as you can go 2 to 3 games and have a fully upgraded tier 1 tank if you just hit a little bit and your team wins, of course. And then you have a fully upgraded tank and you're like, is this what a fully upgraded tank is like? But then again, you can't judge it at all because some people, when you get to the higher tiers and you go up and say, oh, this is a shitty tank, and you write on the forums and people say, well, you don't have it fully upgraded. And you can go and say, yes, I do have it fully upgraded, it's still crap. Because they don't realize how important crew skills are, or crew at 100% is.
Yeah. Totally agree. So the other things, before we move off the very basic tanks, the crew skills such as camouflage and repair and stuff like that, why wouldn't you take repair for your tier 1?
Well, in a tier 1 you have a very low amount of HP, and if you're tracked in the open and 5 tanks are shooting at you, you're dead. And a repair kit costs just as much on a tier 10 as it does on a tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So using a repair kit or using it on repair speed isn't, I wouldn't go for it because, well, you're highly likely dead, and even if you have 100% repair skill on all your crew members, then you won't repair in time to be killed halfway down to dead. You will be dead. You will
Yeah,
be dead.
you'll be dead. So let's move on to the more useful tanks. So let's go for like mid-tier medium tanks or something like that.
Yep. I've
So you
gone.
guys, I'm assuming the average guy watching will be around tier 5, 6, right? You've not been playing that long. You've been playing quite a while. You're stuck around the mid tiers. We'll get onto the later tiers, the tier 8s and stuff like that later. If you're tier 10, we assume you know what you're doing, but we'll cover them as well. Don't worry. But we assume that most of you are between 5 and 8. Yeah, fair assumption. So if there's a particular tier you want us to cover, please shout out in the chat and we will get to it. We'll see it and respond. This is live after all. Yeah, it's a great thing about having it live instead of YouTube. So High Flyer, tier 5-ish meds.
Yes,
What do you think?
I've gone for the VK36-1. Even though it's a good tank, or actually the best tier 6 tank, it's still a good tank to show it on. Right now I've gone the Sherman, and I don't really have anything set on that one because I'm training the crew. But I could pick the T-34, which I've also restarted the crew training. Actually, whenever you move on to a tank, you have the ability to move your crew and retrain them to the next tank for gold, 100%. Or you can go down to, is it 80? I think it's 80 for 20,000, or 60 for free, and that's a lot. 60 is a lot going down. I went for the 80, and I've been playing it a little bit and gotten up to 97. But let's take a look at the skills, the choice of skills up there, because when you've moved that far up the tree, then you've probably brought along the crew members at a reasonably high percentage. So you should be close or already have 100% on.
Hey, High Flyer.
Yes. Hey,
How do you
how are you?
move? How do you move a crew member from one tank to the next? You just mentioned about moving the tank crew forward. How would you go about that?
Well, I'm gonna show it. You, whenever you, when you're planning on selling a tank, because if you take a crew out of the tank and move it into another tank, then you really have to either get a totally new crew for the old tank, and then you'll have to go through all that trouble of training it again, or you can go into the personal file. Whenever you move it, you can go into training, and here when you bought the new tank, it will appear on the list in the drop down menu under medium tank. You can also retrain it for the nation's other classes, but if you're moving on to the mediums, then you can just go in here and pick the tank that you want. Then the options will light up down here. As you can see, 78% is free, 87 is 20,000 credits, and 100% is 200 gold. And all you have to do is pick that one, whichever you can afford, and click retrain, and it will retrain to the vehicle you've chosen. And instead of showing, I can show it in my premium tank, instead of showing the percentages as red right there, it will show it as white. If it's red, then I don't know what the penalties are for the for having
Half.
the percent half.
I believe it's half. I could be wrong, but from what I remember when I was first new, I haven't really looked at it since because I never use a red crew. I believe the penalties are not only half, but they do not gain any XP. It could be that they drive correctly, but don't gain any XP. But I believe it's half, and they don't gain any XP. So don't ever do it. If it's red, just don't do it.
No, don't do it. No. But yeah, retrain them so the percentages will get white. White, they will be able to fight in that tank. And they will turn white whenever you move a crew from one tank to a premium tank of the same class and same nation. You can retrain the crew in there, but that's not what we're supposed to be talking about. But just a tip.
We actually covered premium tanks and what they give you in another video. So if you go over to YouTube, you can find that at RivetingTV archive. Anyway, back to the medium tank.
Yes. Well, medium tanks are, well, they're not heavy and they're not light. So you really have to, some medium tanks are fast, some are slow, and some are yeah, just really sluggish, and you have to use them as snipers, like the Panther. The Panther is a medium tank. It used to be fast before the Panther 2 and the E50 was put into the game, but then they have to balance the Panther and made a little bit historically incorrect. But that tank has a gun which you can snipe with, so that's a support tank. But a brawler like this tank, you really have to think about the skills when you get into a battle. As you can see, the view range on the tank is always shown in the stats, and on the VK36, it's actually pretty low for a tier 6. So if you can train the Recon, I would go for the skills that give you more view range, because then you will be able to see the tanks that your enemies before the enemy sees you. So if you meet a VK36 which doesn't have the Recon equipped and trained, then you will have more view range than him, and you will see him faster than he will see you. So you will be able to take the first shot.
Always important to see them first, guys, because let's just put the situation at you, okay? You meet another tank alone, just the two of you, and you both start firing at the exact same time, and you're the same tank. Then you both die at the same time, right? But if you get to fire the first shot, you win. Simple.
Correct.
Nice.
Yes. And so on the view range can be upgraded both on the radio man, radio operator, and the commander. The radio man, it's called Situational Awareness, and on the commander it's called Recon. And on the commander, I've started. It's probably not a very good skill because I don't sit still in a medium tank, but I've picked the sixth sense, so I know when I've been spotted by an enemy. Because most of the time I'm moving into the city, and if someone spots me from the side and I don't know about it, then I can get a shot into the side and burn up if they hit me in the engine. So I like to know when I have to get a little bit more cautious with my tank. So that's why I've picked the sixth sense. But actually, I think I would pick repair more, because it
Sixth
is
Sense is
brawler.
picked a lot by the pros. The pros actually turned around to me when I was talking to them at Earl Steel. They turned around and was like, "Don't you always pick Sixth Sense?" And I was like, "No, why would you?" He's like, "Because it's OP. It's like you could go into a situation where you think you're safe, but then this big light bulb appears in the middle of your screen saying you've been spotted and you could die at any second. So you can move and get out of there. And if you didn't have that, you could sit there thinking you're totally uneyed and, taking shots at someone, and then you get blown up by artillery. So they say, hey, get Sixth Sense, and then you can just move out of there. It doesn't matter how fast you are if you're dead. So instead of going for all the other perks, Sixth Sense, they say always, almost always go for. That's just what some pros think. So take that as you wish.
It's a good reason, because as I just mentioned, if I'm able to get a shell in the side and be burnt to death, then I'll rather know if I'm spotted and be able to turn with my front and therefore bounce some more shells instead of just be put on fire without knowing it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. There's other skills on the commander. The mentor. It has to get up to it increases with skill level, but it adds additional experience to all the other crew members except the commander. So you'll still have to earn XP for the commander for him to get up to 100% on any skill. And
hold on, I've got a point to make here. The difference between a skill and a perk. The fact is, some of them require you to have the skill at 100% before it becomes active, and others don't. And that's the difference between a skill and a perk. Some of them require you to have 100%, which means that if you take it as your third skill, it takes forever for it to become active. If you take it as your first one, it's much, much quicker. Because, as Highfly said earlier, your first skill is much, much quicker than your second. Second is much, much quicker than your third. And your third is much, much quicker than the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, blah. So always pick the ones you feel that you want on your first skill. Unless you've got gold to blow, then just you pick whatever skill you want first and retrain them later. Yes. So nice and simple.
Yeah. But a repair skill on a medium tank is always good to have, because you can get tracked. At that level, medium tanks will reload pretty quickly, and you will be able to get another shot into the same track and be kept track. The tracking loop and picking the repair skill, as you can see on the left over here, I have 2 repair skills on my radio operator and on my loader, because they don't really have any skills that I prefer over some of the other skills and perks that are on the commander, the loader, and the gunner, the driver. So I've picked those on the less important skills.
Indeed.
Yes.
Okay, guys, I think it's time for the first competition that's actually a competition. Ooh. Basically, I want you guys that during the show has just received our Twitter address to tweet something at me about something you've liked about the first part of the show. And in the second part, we'll start breezing through some of the other parts. So we've got the heavies to go through, the artillery, the TDs. We've got so much to go through. We've already covered the basic for what skills do. So now in the next part, we'll go for more specific instructions on what to do with a slow heavy or a fast medium or a slow medium or a TD, or the different roles that each tank make rather than individual tanks. So we'll do that in part 2. Tweet me something at either Dorjanar, which is my personal one, RivetingTV, or The Rising Sun with a double I. Ooh. So you do that, and we'll be back in a few minutes after an awesome tune of High Flyers Choose.
My choosing. I will choose
You're
now.
choosing.
I will choose now.